Thank you, Las Ciancórla. We stand here tonight in dark, dark days across Europe, and the acts of Russia show the fragility of the global order, underpinned by active democratic processes in those countries for over 3 decades. And today that's under threat, as it has been this week. And as democratic people and as parliamentarians in this chamber, we have a duty to support and advocate for those seeking freedom, the right to expression and peace across the globe. And tonight, people of all ages shelter underground in makeshift bunkers, metro stations and hospital basements, both in Kiev and Kharkiv. And it's a brutal and sudden conflict which has had a devastating impact on the people of Ukraine, for which it's hard to find appropriate words. And Minister, I didn't have the opportunity, Las Ciancórla, to contribute last night to the debate, but I did want to take the opportunity to update the House and update the Minister that the family to which I referred, or the topical issue he took with me on Thursday of last week, the first day of that invasion, that family are now here in Ireland, a grandmother, aunt and 2 children reunited with their beloved daughter, sister-in-law and cousins. And of course the gentleman of the family couldn't leave Ukraine, and my thoughts are with him and others tonight. But it does, require that we reflect that the conflict in Ukraine shows how clearly and how fragile our world order is. And I suggest that if anything can come from that, as other deputies have said, it must be in part an increased urgency to resolve the many, many other conflicts that predate this terrible war on our continent. And that involves dialogue, and it involves respect for democracy, and it involves using our place to call out those things that are wrong and try to highlight those things and amplify those things that can lead to conflict resolution. As the Minister knows, and I'm a member of both parliamentary friendship groups that are reflected here tonight, both the Ireland-Israeli Parliamentary Friendship Group, which on the Israeli side is comprised of 1 Jewish member of the Knesset and one male Jewish member of the Knesset and 1 female Arab member of the Knesset. And I'm also a member of the cross-party Oireachtas Friends of Palestine group, and have been since it was established for this Dáil. And I do that out of a genuine interest in conflict resolution in the region, and a desire to see both communities thrive and live well side by side. Because, to be frank, after many years of progress and dialogue in the past, the peace process between Israel and the Palestinian people has gone backwards. And we must in this House stand with the international legal norms and the rules-based systems and protection of human rights. The actions of successive Israeli governments in relation to settlements in the West Bank is wrong, and I want to state and add my absolute opposition to what has been relentless and illegal expansion of settlements in the West Bank. Similarly, the practice of forced evictions, demolitions and relentless encroachment into land is wrong, illegal and destructive to the opportunity for peace. I have visited the West Bank as I have visited Israel. I have seen this, as other deputies have described, in Bethlehem, near Ramallah. It is unlawful. It is a barrier to conflict resolution. It is a barrier to peace. It is directly contradictory to Israel's democracy, a democratic rules-based system, and the values of a democratic rules-based system. But we must also recognise that there are many, many, many people across the Israeli political system and among the Israeli people who also condemn that, and who look towards those measures instead that will develop and deliver the opportunity for peace and conflict resolution. Israel must comply with international law, as must every other country, and I recognise how Ireland consistently raises this within its role in the Security Council and the UN. But here tonight we are Democrats in a freely elected parliament, and I have to recognise as well that Israel is also a democracy with a strong Supreme Court, protection of the rights of women, the LGBTI community, freedom of expression and genuine and diversity in political representation. That it is a place of political dialogue and criticism of the government by parliamentarians. And what we all hope for in this House, and we've all said it, is to see a 2-state solution, 2 strong, different, independent, preferably democratic states, with the protection of human rights in both, with protection of minorities in both, with an end to both violence and the violence of language. And that means ending and demolishing settlements. It means holding elections and enabling a strong representation of the Palestinian people to enable their own self-determination and their own self-governance. It means an end to the language that suggests the ending of the State of Israel. It means celebrating those areas of collaboration and friendship which do occur, which absolutely do occur, and it means celebrating and recognising minorities and highlighting where that does not happen, as much as legitimately criticising it where it does not. Excuse me, I've said that slightly backwards, but you know what I mean, Las Ciancórla. There are people in Israel and across the Palestinian territory who share goals of peace for the future. Their political representatives deserve amplification and support and engagement. Those representatives that amplify violence, settlement building and racist language on both sides deserve our round condemnation. I had a constituent email me today to highlight that Irish people and the Irish state has friends and partnerships among the Israeli people, among the Palestinian people, and that our shared goal was conflict resolution. The steps to be taken to achieve that, to identify and amplify the champions of peace building for the future, and how we as a parliament, as a democracy contributing that, how we can contribute to, support and engender that. Thank you.